Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Epilogue of Book 1 of the Ranger's Apprentice The Early Years series, The Tournament at Gorlan. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Mountains of Rain and Night. The cave was smoky and drafty, but at least it was dry. Outside, the rain blew in almost horizontal sheets across the rock-strewn plateau. Morgoth sat, hunched over by the fire, facing the terrifying beast he had lured to his cave. It had taken months to find the Wargall, and now he had finally begun to win his confidence. The Wargall was the leader of a tribe of similar beasts. He had cajoled it with gifts of fresh meat, treasured by the Wargalls for its scarcity in these cold, dripping mountains. And it had taken days after that to establish a pattern of dominance over the primitive creature's mind. It had been a slow process. Morgoth had begun by emptying his mind of all conscious thought, allowing it to be open to receive messages from outside. That in itself had taken days to achieve. Then, on one memorable occasion, he had seen an image growing in his mind, even though his eyes were shut. It was hazy and unfocused at first, and when he tried to concentrate on it, it receded. He realized that he mustn't try to focus with his conscious mind, and when he cleared his mind of conscious thought, the image returned, clearer and sharper this time. He realized, with a start, that the image was himself. He was seeing what the Wargall chief was seeing. He began to try to form an image of his own, difficult to do when he had to keep his conscious mind at bay. He envisaged himself sitting on a high throne, and the head Wargall was bowing down before him, placing its head under his hand in submission. Then he switched tack. He imagined Duncan, terrible in his red surcoat and glittering mail, cutting and hacking at a group of Wargalls, killing and maiming them. Morgoth had been doing this for a week now, always projecting the same image. But today he felt a slight jolt in his consciousness, an impression of repellence. The Wargall had seen what he was projecting, and was disturbed and frightened by it. Morgoth half opened his eyes, and saw the creature's lips draw back from its fangs in a snarl. He closed his eyes again and added to the image. Now, a black-clad figure with long, white-blonde hair strode in front of the Wargalls to protect them and to face Duncan. His long, two-handed sword swung in a gleaming arc to block Duncan's blade as the red-garbed warrior tried to kill another helpless Wargall. The sword flashed quickly up and down, severing Duncan's head from his shoulders and sending it spinning among the rocks. The headless torso remained standing for a moment, then slowly toppled over. The surviving Wargalls swarmed around the black-clad figure, bowing before him in gratitude and submission. Morgoth held the image in his mind for several minutes. Then he felt a rough touch on his hand, and he opened his eyes slowly. The Wargall chieftain had moved closer and was kneeling before him. It took Morgoth's right hand and both its savagely clawed upper paws, and placed it on its own head, bowing before Morgoth. The former Lord of Gorlan smiled grimly, allowing his hand to rest on the bowed head before him. "Oh, yes, my ugly friend," he crooned. "I think we're going to get on very well indeed." All right, that will bring us to the end of the epilogue and the end of the whole book of Book 1 of the Ranger's Apprentice, the Early Years series, The Tournament at Gorlan. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening. I know I really enjoyed reading this one or this series especially, I feel like is a little less known. But it's always fun to kind of learn the backstory of some of our favorite characters from The Ranger's Apprentice, like Crowley, Haltz, Harold, and that group. And I know this is probably some of my favorite Ranger's Apprentice material. So again, no, I've enjoyed reading it. I hope you all have enjoyed listening. And I'll hope to see you next time in Book 2 of The Ranger's Apprentice, the Early Years series, The Battle at Hackham Heath. God bless, and have a good one.